There was an article on libcom the other day, and what it talked about was how the left has become postmodernist. The author says, in theory, no, in practice, not in theory. I would actually disagree with that. I believe that the left, the radical left, has gone completely postmodernist. It has thrown ideas completely out the window and has just gone with whatever they feel like. But the main criticism that he's making is that the whole radical left has gone for style over substance. And he's noticed how flashy leftist groups like a Syriza had gotten, but there was no substance there. And I absolutely agree with him. Look at how the people who rioted, when Black Lives Matter began, a lot of the people who rioted are now, going through like incredibly long jail sentences. But essentially for what? For an organization that just turned around and sold itself out to Blue Lives Matter. What they're really saying is that the author is recognizing the severe lack of radicalism among the left in the first world. I disagree with his analysis on why that is, but what's important there is that he recognizes that it's there. The post really comes down to we need to get our stuff together in order to push radical action once again. And this is kind of something that third worldists have been saying. There is no radical left here. It doesn't exist. Sure, we've got, all kinds of things, or some party with like 50 or so people in it who claim to be radical left, but they don't do anything. They don't wield any power whatsoever. So this is all about improving their image as opposed to actually being radical, doing something or being something of substance. And every single group is guilty of this. I mean, even so far as the Avakian RCP, they've got a lot of name recognition, they've branded themselves very well, but when it comes down to actual radical politics, what have they done? They tried to be a part of Black Lives Matter and try to turn it in a radical direction, and they got completely kicked out of it. They were completely shunned. What the RCP didn't understand is that Black Lives Matter is not a radical group. It's not out for radical change. It's not out for completely overthrowing the system and building a new one. It's there for reforms. And this lack of radicalism, this lack of willingness to turn towards radicalism is made very clear in the popularity of Bernie Sanders. How many people do you know that have been saying for years that they're communists, and now all of a sudden they start supporting Bernie Sanders? It's quite a lot, and I know a lot of them too. It's all over Facebook, it's all over social media. But yet here they are again, turning towards reform. It's very clear right in front of our eyes that first world people don't want to do revolution. Maybe you in your group wants to do it. I want to do it. But the people of America don't want to do it. They're outright rejecting it. They're swarming towards the two important candidates right now, Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. One conservative, I would only have to assume insane, and Bernie Sanders, the soft-hearted, social imperialist. So one goes conservative, one goes liberal. That's the two heads of the reactionary coin. And people are going right for them. They're not turning towards radical politics. They're turning right to these two, both of them reformers. Donald Trump claims to want to reform capitalism back to the good old days, which isn't possible. And Bernie Sanders wants to distribute more of the spoils of imperialism down to working class people. In either case, both sides are completely bought off. Either you're bought off with utopian promises of the golden age, or you're bought off with more of the spoils of imperialism. And what Marxist groups need to understand is that despite their intention to have a radical society, despite their intentions to take radical action, It's not in the American people. The American people don't want to do it. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. In this case, they can't even lead the horse. I mean, this is the reality that we face. And we have all these people coming out with like blog posts and theoretical works pointing out how, what do we have to do now? Like, what is it that we have to do to get back into the saddle? You know, where did we go wrong? How do we radicalize the population? And they're all asking this question, but none of them are answering it. Third World has come back, and we come back with an analysis and say, that's because they can't be radical given their position within the global order of wealth. And then they just turn around and say, no. You're reactionary. So everybody's asking the question, but nobody's answering it. And then when someone does, they don't want to hear it. So, you know, you guys can go on and on about how you're going to lead the next revolution or how somehow you're really revolutionary. Maybe you are. But the masses of American people are not. I don't think it should be a hard thing to believe that the largest consumers of basically everything in the world are not willing to fight and die. I'm sorry, but the answer is right there in front of everyone. It's right there for everyone to see, but nobody wants to see it. So I really do applaud the article by this guy. I mean, he really does point out a lot of important things. But in the end, I would also say that also in theory, postmodernism has completely taken over Marxist theory. And that's why there's so many people standing around accomplishing absolutely nothing while promising that they can do everything. If you like this video and you'd like to see more of them, then head over to my Patreon page and show your support. Or you can go to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and share on various social media.